Mail-in ballots? Hello and welcome to Guy Talk. Before we get into it, please hit the subscribe, hit the bell, share this video, comment on this video. All right, let's go. Mail-in ballots? Really? There's a narrative out there that says voter fraud is not a problem, that it's rare, hardly ever happens, doesn't really occur. Nobody ever tries to defraud our elections. And anybody that is worried about it is spreading fear about the integrity of our elections for literally no reason whatsoever. Is that true? Because I know very few, if any of you, will do your research, I have done it for you. Since 2015, there has been 216 voter fraud convictions in the United States. 216. That doesn't mean 216 people tried to commit fraud on one ballot. These were people who were trying to do, on average, hundreds of ballots at a time, which could absolutely alter elections. And do you not think, in the climate we're in right now, that there would be people out there doing whatever they could, since so many people are willing to go to jail for voter fraud, thinking that they would never get caught? Unbelievable. By the way, for those of you who say, where'd you get those numbers from? That's not true. It's in the description section of exactly where I got it. It's documented. Each person, what happened to each person, it's in the description section. So why would we even be worried about mail-in ballots? How's that different than that somebody voting by absentee? Since we do that all the time. All right, let's take care of that one first. Here's the difference. When somebody requests an absentee ballot, they're sent a ballot specifically for them that requires their information. It requires their signature on it. Because they have to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to get that done, the likelihood of fraud on an absentee ballot is very, very low. They requested the ballot. There's way too many hoops to jump through to commit fraud. And if it did happen, it would be on a very small scale because there's so few absentee ballots. Now, mail-in ballots, totally different. Many states, Democrat-run states, by the way, listen carefully, Democrat-run states are mailing out ballots to their entire voting rolls that have not been checked, to people that have died, to people that no longer live there. Millions of ballots are going out. You see no potential problem with that? Do you realize that our election is November 3rd? And just for the record, only Congress, this is in our Constitution, by the way, only Congress has the constitutional authority to change the date of the election. By having tens of millions of mail-in ballots, it would be, in essence, changing the date of the election. Because the mail-in ballots would not even be in on time, many of them. And, of course, the Dems are perfectly okay with mail-in ballots getting in whenever. Like, they don't even care what the date is. They just keep coming in, even after the date of our election. They got to be counted. They wouldn't even be in on time. Millions of them would be contested. Lawyers would be back and forth forever. There's no way to know for sure whether any of those ballots would be legit. You know that. It would be a complete nightmare to have all these mail-in ballots. Now, absentee ballots are a much smaller number and much easier to validate as legit. Mail-in ballots would essentially be, they would delay the outcome of the election by weeks, possibly even months. We're not changing the date to accommodate mail-in ballots. The date is on. By the way, for those of you who don't know, the date for both congressional and presidential elections has been set by law as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November since 1845. No problem. Through wars, through all kinds of stuff, we voted. And what's happening now? We can't vote safely. We can't. There's a pandemic. No, there's not, by the way. No pandemic. There's this Chinese virus. I can't call it Chinese virus. There's this COVID-19 out there. And people are afraid. They're scared to death. They might get it. If they went out and voted. It's just terrible. Listen, early voting has already begun in a lot of states. In fact, pretty much every state gives you the right and the option to vote early. So you don't have to be in long lines and stuff like that. Okay? In fact, in other states, they've got a week or two of voting scheduled coming up. I'm in Florida. We have early voting. The election is November 3rd. I think early voting begins October 23rd or 24th, something like that. It's no problem to vote. If you want to go early, go early. But go to a location. This mail-in ballot thing, absolutely crazy. At this point, with the COVID thing, everybody shops for groceries and other stuff without a problem. We can certainly vote using similar safety protocols. We do all kinds of stuff. Voting is not an issue. Get out and vote like you always do. And if you've always done absentee, then do absentee the right way where we can validate who you are. It's amazing to me how so many people on the left want anybody to vote. In Florida, we got this psycho Bloomberg trying to pay people's restitution and fines so felons can vote. And all the Democrats think it's so good. It's illegal. You can't buy votes. It's unbelievable. You guys are willing to do anything for power. Does it even matter to you? Does integrity or character matter at all? They just found a whole bunch of ballots in a ditch. Unbelievable. Look it up if you think I'm crazy. By the way, it only takes one unscrupulous postal worker or paid-off postal worker for massive fraud to occur. It doesn't take a great imagination to know that. How easy it would be for somebody who works at some postal location that just happens to vote heavily Republican to have a bunch of votes suddenly disappear and not actually make it, mail-in ballots. A mail-in ballot party at somebody's house where they're filling out the ballots for all these people that they have and just signing whatever signature on it they want. It's unbelievable, you guys. New York took more than a month. The state of New York took more than a month to count the ballots from its June 23rd primary election. A month in a little tiny little primary election. It took a month. This should be considered unacceptable by anyone believing in a fair and accurate election. Voters should not be forced to deal with the problems that massive mail-in ballots would create. Okay? To any logical, listen now, any logical thinking person that's not stuck in their ideological emotion can see that mail-in ballots creates massive issues for us. But here's my real question that just doesn't make sense to me. I can't square with this question. Why are the Democrats so invested in mail-in ballots? I don't get why the Democrats are not concerned about voter fraud. Republicans are always being accused of voter fraud, but not one Democrat that I've seen has raised the concern about voter fraud. Millions of ballots are out there. Why aren't you worried that Republicans will commit fraud? Could it be that fraud is what the Democrats want? Could it be that chaos and doubt is what they want? When Hillary Clinton tells Biden under no circumstances should he ever concede the election, that's what she told him. And they keep asking Trump, will you surrender and be a peaceful transfer of power? And he keeps saying, I have to wait and see. He wants to make sure that there's not millions of people out there who are counting ballots. all this fraud, or the potential for fraud is rampant. Of course he's going to say that. Of course we want to count our votes. But why are the Democrats not concerned about voter fraud? Why are they so invested in millions of ballots going out? And they're not concerned about voter fraud. Only the Republicans are concerned about the mail-in ballots. I mean, come on. How could you not be concerned? All those terrible, greedy Republicans, of course they would be into fraud, right? Apparently you don't think so. But why are you so invested in it? No concern at all for all the games and the problems that would come from mail-in ballots. It's obvious to everybody but you. So what do you think is really going on here? Am I right? Comment in the comment section. Share this video. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Until next time, God bless you and your family.